Welcome to the Soulish Podcast. My name is Whitney Apke, and I'm your host. On the Soulish Podcast, we talk about the soul journey as well as the body, soul, spirit connection. And I bring on guests who are thought leaders, truth seekers, or just people with amazing hearts that do amazing things in the world and help humanity. As well as I do solo episodes where I share from my experiences, my thoughts, my perspectives that are inspiring, encouraging. That's really the whole point, is to have just amazing, inspiring, encouraging conversations that are thought provoking, that are deep, that are meaningful, that are rich with just different perspectives, and even just, processing things that need to be processed, like what is the meaning of life? So today's episode is actually, we're celebrating 100 episodes, which is nuts. And this episode is the 101 episode of the Soulish Podcast. Woot woot. And I would love to celebrate it with my dear, dear friend, Yasmin Elzomor, who was, I think, the third guest on this podcast. About 2 years ago, she reached out and she saw that I was a brand new podcast out there. And she was so kind enough to want to be, she was like my first person that would ever reach out to ask to be a guest. And she asked to be a guest. And we talked for like 3 hours. We hit it off. We had an amazing first episode, but what really was significant to me was we connected soul to soul. And so in this episode, the 101st episode of the podcast, we want to share and talk about compatibility. Now, she is a relationship coach. She is basically, that is her wheelhouse. She's a visionary. She's so many things. She's an alchemist. She's a trailblazer, speaker, mentor. She's amazing. She's a ton of things all in one. She's a generator in manifesting generator in human design. So she does a lot. She does a lot of things. Lots of things coming. So she she definitely helped me learn, even over like the 2 years of being with her, learned how to be in a healthy state of mind around compatibility and what that looks like, relationships and dynamics and all of that, and what that looks like, how to remain a priority in your relationship, how to prioritize your values, your morals, and even your lifestyle. And that's what we talk about in this episode of how do you vet someone and the compatibility that you have, because you could have a connection, you could have chemistry, you could have love, you could like the person, but it not be a compatible relationship. And I think that there is always going to be things that are maybe a lack of compatibility or differences, right, in relationships, which a lot of those are really nourishing, really helpful, really beneficial for us to experience in relationships. Sometimes it can end up causing conflict. It can end up being hurtful or confusing. And I think what we talk about in this episode is just even how to identify that, and even how to identify what would not be beneficial to you before getting super, super involved with somebody. So Yasmin has so much wisdom. She has so much knowledge. And I actually hit record way prior to what we probably would have been recording, because I just wanted to show our chemistry, our dynamic, our connection, our relationship, because I just think it's so warm, and it'll just really inspire you that you can have friendships, you can have relationships where you have this connection. We met in person for the first time just a couple weeks ago, according to this episode. We had waited 2 years to meet each other in person. So our friendship, our relationship has been primarily long distance based. And that doesn't always work out. You don't always experience depth in relationships from long distance, but this is a really cool example of how you can. And I think it is transparency, it's honesty, it's also commitment and consistency. So whether or not you're in a, relationship now, whether you're not in a relationship, you're single like moi, or you have friendships, that you aren't really fulfilled by, this episode, I hope that it inspires you that you can have those amazing, rich, deep, meaningful friendships and relationships in your life. It is totally possible for you. I think I experienced a lot, and I've talked about it in prior solo episodes of my history with women, and being friends with girls in high school and college, church, ministry, those experiences that were really painful, not beneficial, not supportive, where it actually really hurt me and hurt me in a way that, it's like, whoa, I don't know if I can ever get over that. Um, but I have prayed for years, even before I came out of Christianity, religion, and into spirituality. Even in Christianity, I would pray to God almost nightly to bring me friendships and bring me my person. Um, and I feel like I'm finally in this season of life where I am able to recognize quality people. Not that, people are less than, but quality people that are working on themselves, people that are open and honest and receptive as well as giving. I've looked for those people that truly have a shared interest in helping people and have really amazing hearts, really amazing hearts, and prioritize and value love. So when you work on yourself and when you heal, you end up attracting people that are also samesies, right? And so I think it's a part of it too, is like I think it's an indicator really to the healing work that we've done, because people that are healed don't hang around people that are necessarily choosing to be unhealed, right? It's not that they're unhealed and they're suffering and they're looking for healing. It's the people that choose to remain in the stink and the shit and the funk, and they actually revel in it, they bathe in that shit. Like they want to be more on the negative or on the service to self, oriented type of individual. You're not attracted to that when you've done the work. Like you're really attracted to people that are same as you, who love people, who want to help people, who are doing the work, who are in service to others, and who value that, because you end up valuing that in others when you recognize it. Real recognizes real. And so you begin to attract those people into your life, and you've made space for those people in your life. And especially as you start to declutter, right, and start to let go of the people that don't add to your life, they don't add value, they're not supportive, and you make space and room for the people that are, it's really cool to see that friends and relationships, connections come in that are really valuable to you, are really precious, and add something to your life, are supportive. And I really couldn't and choose to not do life without Yasmin Elzomor. She is amazing. We love each other so deeply. She's somebody that I tell literally everything to. There is nothing that I don't tell her. Um, she is one of my sisters. And I consider her a lifelong friend. So, apart from that, I just want to encourage you that you can also have the same. And we do talk on the basis of friendship a lot in this episode, as well as relationship, because that is her wheelhouse, but it's also what we want. We want relationships with people that are deep and meaningful, whether it's short term or long term. You still want to be in a relationship with someone that it adds value to your life. You don't want to feel like you wasted your time, or you wasted your effort, or your love, your, time. You can never get that back. So you really want to know that you're connecting with someone that is a quality individual, that added value to your life, even if it means that you're not necessarily compatible for like life, but it's worth it when you end up dating quality people, even if it's short term. And so we talk about that, because vetting compatibility is everything. And I also think that compatibility sometimes changes, like based off of where you are in life. There may be changes in your life that if you had met that person in your 20s, 30s, it would have been different. You would have been compatible, but maybe you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and that isn't compatible for you anymore, right? You're looking for something different. So I think it's also knowing that compatibility changes as you change and as you live life, and that's okay. That's totally okay. Um, Back in my 20s, it would have been absolute that someone would want to have kids. Now I'm 35 and I'm open to the idea, but it's not a must. It's not a requirement for me. I do look for people that are mostly open to having kids. They're not completely closed off, because I just want that possibility. But maybe when I'm 40, according to my blood test last time, 39 was the cutoff for me personally to have kids. So let's say I'm, 5 years from now, I'm still single. Like, it won't be a priority. It won't be a missed thing in my communication with finding a partner for them to want kids. It would actually probably be not compatible. If a guy wanted kids and I'm at 40. So unless I freeze my eggs or something, which I don't plan on doing, but like at that point, I'm looking for somebody that it's not necessary for them to have children, right? At 40. So that's just like an easy example for you of how compatibility can change over time, and just to be aware of what you value, what you're looking for, and to stick with that, because it's not going to work out in the end if you compromise things. And so just knowing what it is that you need, what you want, what you're looking for is huge. So I hope that this episode is helpful to you. I hope it's encouraging. I hope it inspires you, just even on the level of friendship, and that you can have a quality friend like Yasmin or myself, and you can call those people and pray in those people and manifest that into your life. You can totally attract that. It's just making space for it, and also becoming the friend that you want, I think, is huge. Becoming the person that you want to have in your life, right? And that's huge. So I love you all so much. Happy 101 episode. I'm so excited to continue this journey with you into the triple digits. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me, and for sharing your journey with me as well. Please, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this. I would love to have a conversation with you around friendship and relationship, answer any questions that you have. And so you can totally DM me at whitneyapke.com. Sorry, you can totally DM me at Whitney Apke. You can look me up on whitneyapke.com, as well as Yasmin Elzomor. You can look her up at Yasmin Elzomor. You can DM her. You can go to her website, yasminelzomor.com. I have that all in the show notes for you. So you can go ahead and click and connect with her as well. She is taking one-on-one sessions. So if you are wanting to work with her on the basis of friendship or relationships, and you're wanting to kind of see where you maybe need some more openness or healing to take place, right? Maybe you need shadow work. Maybe you need to do like IFS work. I think that's family systems work. Internal family systems. You can work with her on that as well. She does amazing work with shadow work. I've done one-on-one sessions with her as well. She holds space in an amazing, beautiful way. She's an amazing facilitator of healing. So if you are needing that, definitely reach out to her. Definitely reach out to me. I'm always down for a chat. I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful time listening to this episode, and I can't wait to hear your feedback. All I have is watermelon shots. I'm going through our Instagram feed, and all I see is watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
If that's not a staple of our friendship, I don't know what.
It literally is watermelon, like posts and dogs eating watermelon, watermelon being
Yeah,
fried.
why is it always dogs eating watermelon
Because
and
dogs
babies?
apparently love watermelon, but Winston won't eat watermelon.
No,
Mm-mm.
he doesn't like it.
He's not a fan.
No, he's not a fan.
Yeah, he's not a fan. But it's okay. He's not missing out.
We'll eat the watermelon. It's fine.
I'll eat it for him. But I think it's hilarious that like in our Instagram DMs between you and I, it's like watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
Hold it.
Which
And anytime I find something, I'm like, that's it. I have to send it to Wit. The watermelon's there. The symbolism is there.
like, yeah, fertility, abundance,
Fertility. Who's
manifestation.
pregnant?
I'm not. I know I'm not. It's been a while.
Not it. Not it.
My God. So, what I love is that like we get to celebrate our, and I'm just going to keep all of this, okay? Because I think it's fun. I think
It
people
is.
should like see our friendship, because that's kind of what this is all about,
Yeah,
at the end of the
totally.
day. It's like
Like our
about
raw
friendship.
friendship.
Yeah. Like
Not
people
like
need
when
to see.
people
It
like
ain't fake. Yeah.
us being,
Yeah. No.
like we're actually like laughing.
We're actually like laughing and having fun. Duly noted.
Exactly.
Um, but I love that we're talking about compatibility in this episode, because really, when like 2 years ago, basically in a couple days from when this episode pops out, because yesterday was my 35th birthday, according to this podcast launching, and then I think in 3 days from this episode going live is when we kind of figure is when all the magic started to happen between you and I.
Love it. When we
When we
met,
became like
twin
official
flame
friends.
energy.
When we became official friends. And um I love that we're talking about like how to vet compatibility. And
Yeah,
because I think that has to deal with not only relationships but also friendships, right?
totally, totally,
So
totally.
it's
Goes for
really
both.
important to kind of know. I think in friendships there's like less on the line, so to
Right,
speak.
right.
Like you're not vetting this person to like literally live your life, like
And have children with you. You know what I
have
mean? Like that's a
children,
big commitment.
shame the same bathroom, you know.
Yeah,
When you're
totally.
in dire straits, the same toothbrush, you know.
Right, right. Exactly. No, it's so true. It's so true. It's
You and I
different.
don't need to do that, although we could.
That's the level of love we have for each other.
We could have kids together. We could do it.
We're this close.
Yeah, that was one thing we said in Austin just a couple weeks ago. We were in Austin for everyone who's like wondering what the heck we're referencing, and we had like this beautiful night together with Christine Rodriguez and you and I. And I was like, guys, like we have everything. Like we have so much intimacy in this like friendship, like whether individually with each other or together. It's like the only thing we haven't done is had sex yet. And like we all just like fell over laughing. I was actually kind of being serious, like
You were so, your face was like, no,
I
but
was
really
so like,
though.
no, but really, like we have total intimacy. The only thing we haven't had is sex
And
yet.
me and Christine were just like, wow, that was golden. We need to like have a reality TV show.
Quote, friendship quote. We're so close, but the only thing
That needs to go on those friendship keychains. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
we need to make a necklace. We just haven't had sex yet.
Can you
That's the
imagine?
only thing missing.
Bestseller, best-selling necklace.
Bestseller BF necklace.
I
Oh,
love that.
but yeah, it's just, I mean, it's so funny when I come out with Whitneyisms. I think we just can call them Whitneyisms because it's like, wow, who would say that except for you?
Only Whit,
Um,
only Whitwood.
Wittisms. Wittisms. But yeah, I think it's like, but it's true that in friendship, you can experience a level of intimacy that you can totally have in the same of a with a partner, but in a friendship it's just the dynamics are a little bit different, but it's still intimacy. And so it's interesting because when you and I first met, it was over Zoom and we were
Yeah,
recording for the podcast, and but like we instantly connected. It was like we had been talking for like we had been friends for years, and I just
right.
happened to start a podcast and I'm having you on
That's
as a
exactly what it
guest.
felt like. That is exactly what it felt like. It
I was
was
like,
so
dude,
immediate. The bond was just, it was there, you know? And when we like, even after we finished recording, we stayed on the call for like another hour.
at least.
Yeah, at least it was like a 3 hour call. Honestly, our first call was 3 hours long.
I think the podcast interview, like the pre chat, which is usually what y'all just saw, but the pre chat was like half an hour, and then I was like,
Yeah,
oh, we gotta like I wanted to honor your time,
right.
and
And
we
I was
had
like, oh,
like
I
a
have time.
yeah, we had like a 45-minute episode, and then we chatted for like an hour, hour and a half. It was
Yeah,
crazy. But
yeah,
that's
we
when you
really
know,
connected.
like when there's this connection, there's this synergy, the
Yeah.
communication is on point. You
Mhm.
understand, like we automatically understood each other's humor. Like there was just
Yeah,
so
that's a big
much.
one. That's a big one. Imagine not getting each other's humor and, you know, me cracking some stupid joke and you're like, crickets.
Even
And
with
I'm
your twin flame thing, man, you're always like, twin flame, see, we're twin flame. And I'm like, oh my God.
I love it. And you just look at me, you just laugh. And I'm like, this is exactly why you're my soul sister.
Because I was like, in Austin, I was like, Ishinoid?
You kept looking at me like, there she goes again.
It's like, really? We're gonna say that again? Okay. But when you love somebody, you're like,
Only
no, it is funny because I mean, it is true. But it was like, it was an oversaturation of watermelons and twin flames for me.
it
That's
was
what you get.
obsessive. It was obsessive.
That's a girl's weekend for you. Watermelon and twin flames. Wild. Wild girls weekend.
Yeah, when I stick to something, I roll with it. Clearly.
It's straight up you in a bottle. Like if
I'm
anyone were to drink a
obsessed.
Yasmin Elzomor soda, they would just be like, don't flame. Watermelon. It'd be like, it'd
Watermelon
be
flavor.
wild. Yep.
Find
With a
my twin
little
flame
touch of
enemies.
cayenne pepper for the Scorpio essence.
Oh yeah, a little bit of spice.
Watermelon with a dash of cayenne.
You need that little kick, you know?
The little spice. It's the little Colombian spice that you add to everyone's life who happens to have the privilege of having you as a friend.
You're so
Um, it's true. But yeah, I think compatibility is one thing because you, as a relationship coach, and talking with people and getting into the nitty gritty of like why they're having conflict that they
yeah,
can't resolve on their own. Like, what
right.
is the actual issue? What's actually happening here? And I
Mhm.
think like compatibility is major. And we sent a post between us and we happened to find it. And it was like 16 questions to vet compatibility with potential partners. And I was like, can we do a podcast episode on
It
that?
was good,
Because
right?
it's so
It was
good.
good.
And it makes sense because part of what we don't do is like usually people just get into a relationship and they just like they get straight to, sorry gonna say it, but they get straight to funking, and then it's like, okay, all of it is fucking and you don't really vet, and then you get in the feels, and then like maybe a couple days, couple weeks, couple months later you're like, whoa, I don't really have much with this person,
No,
like because we
exactly.
didn't vet them, we didn't take the time to vet them prior to getting intimate. And not that
Totally.
it's like wrong to get intimate, everyone needs to follow what works for them. It doesn't work for me to get intimate
Right,
quickly, but for
right.
some people they don't have a problem with that, and actually that's part of their vetting process is sexual
Yes.
chemistry. um but I think that it's really important, like on the basis of like personality, do you get each other's communication? Like that's huge, right? Communication's everything.
Yeah.
What are some other things, or do you want to talk on the communication piece, or what are some other things that we should probably look at and take the time to do when we're vetting a potential partner?
Yeah, I mean, communication is huge. That's probably one of the biggest
Yeah.
ones, alongside values and belief systems. You know, that's a big one that we tend to overlook when we're so clouded and
Yes.
in the moment with like, this person's so sweet and so kind and so funny, and they turn me on and I'm sexually attracted. So when that happens, we get so clouded and we get so lost in that we get lost in the fog. We really do.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from personal experience with my past relationships. This has always been a theme, is I would get lost in that, and then down the line I'd be like, wait a second, we actually don't have that much in common, or our
Yep.
paths don't align, or we're not really heading in the
Yes.
same direction. So what are we doing? This is
Yes.
just dating. This isn't courtship, you know, it's
Right.
different. It's not actually preparing and building for a long-term thing. It's just for fun. And if
Yes.
that's your goal, then that's great, you know. But if you're
Yeah.
looking to settle and build something with someone long term, you need to know where you're heading and where that person's heading. And you need to
Yes.
ultimately be honest with yourself about it too. Like, you can't compromise certain things because you want that person to like you or accept
Yeah.
you, you know, and vice versa. So I
Yes.
find that to be huge, you know, like that's a big one. And believe it or not, also libidos, sex drives, you know what I mean? Like that's another big one. People overlook that. It's like, yeah, well, I'll change and things will get better. It's like, no,
Yeah.
everyone has a very different sex drive and everyone has
Yes.
different sexual needs. So
Yes.
if you're not that much of a sexual person, and the person you're potentially dating or looking to date is, that might be an issue down the line. Maybe not in the beginning because it's new, it's fresh, the
Yeah.
novelty's there, the excitement is there, the passion's there.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
helps a lot and boost it up. But
Yep.
as time goes on and as you start to feel like this foundation and this sense of calm with the person, that starts to creep up and it starts to show you like, oh, this person has needs that I don't really have and I can't really fulfill that. So that I find to be super, super important. It's up there. It's definitely up there. So those are the things that I tell my clients all the time. And even with myself, I remind myself, like, these are the things you need to look out for, you know, when you're looking for a potential partner, because those are all really important things. Those are things we can't just get rid of. You know, it's things we can't really change at the core. Like your
Right.
values, you can't really change your values at the core. You know, like you
No.
just have a certain value or a certain belief system. And not to say that we're not malleable or we can't transform. Of course, we have different ideas and we can change as time goes on. But when you go into a relationship or you're dating, go in with the intention of like, this is my belief system. I may not change this about myself. So I might as well find someone who has the same view on life or the same perspective. So down the
Yes.
line, we're both not shocked and surprised. And it's like, what are we doing? Why do we spend so much time and waste so much time, trying to build something or being in a relationship when in the end we're both wanting very different things at the core?
So good.
Mhm.
It's so good. Yeah, I think communication, understanding how that person communicates,
Yeah,
values, morals, I mean, those are things that don't really change.
no,
I think that you can adapt in communication, like learn. I think there's a lot of learning that happens, but there is like a basis of communication that
no.
needs to at least be already like there,
Yes,
foundational,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also little things too, like sense of humor. You know what I mean? Like a relationship, like life can be brutal and things can get really hard, and there can be ups and downs and, walls that you hit as an individual, as a couple. And you need humor to get through it sometimes. You need joy, you need fun, you need excitement. And if your partner and you don't have that same, sense of humor, that same way of laughing, that same banter, then you're going to get to a point where you might not be able to stand them. You know what I mean? Or you might just get tired of being in relationship with them, or like that. Really, I find that to be a really big barrier when two people don't have the same way of looking at life in that lens, with humor, with laughing, with like tapping into your inner child, like all these things are important.
Mhm. Mhm.
So for me, humor is huge, like having someone
Huge.
who can like laugh with you and like, help you through the hard times through, not bypassing, but yeah, infusing a little bit of fun,
Oh my
when it's,
gosh, you have to laugh.
you have to laugh, man. Like, I think we'd all be dead if we weren't laughing with everything going on right now.
I
Memes are saving
mean,
us. Memes are saving us.
memes are saving us, and I just think when something goes down, like some people fundamentally don't respond
Yeah.
with laughter.
Yeah.
Sometimes they respond in anger,
Yeah.
right? And it also can be like you can be in a really shit place in life and like everything's just piling up, and that makes
Of
sense and
course.
that's fine. There's no judgment here. But like
So,
for me when stuff happens, I mean,
yeah.
usually my default is to like, "Oh my God, this is hilarious."
Yes. Me too.
Like,
Me too.
really? And if I'm in a shit place, I'm like, could it get worse? And I'm like, fuck, I need to not ask that question because I might get it. It might get worse. If I'm like, can
Like,
it? Can it
I
get
don't know if you
worse?
saw
The
my
universe
feed
is
the
like,
other day.
yes, yes, it can. Let me show you how. And then I'm like, got it, got it. Don't need any more proof that it can get worse right now. Yeah.
I don't know if
I
you saw
mean,
my reel the other day, but I posted, it's like me. Can things get any worse? And then God goes with like the the usher meme, like, watch this.
yes, yeah, watch.
Watch this.
Watch that. Yeah, that was great. I was like, that's straight up yes. That's exactly how I feel like the universe is like, and that's
Yeah.
how it's happening. Yeah. So I think it's like it's so important to understand either how your partner responds and to not get like down or annoyed or feel slighted, like they're not
Mm,
taking it seriously. I totally take it seriously. It's just that I have to laugh because if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry. And I'd rather laugh at it than cry at it. Although
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with crying, but I just like sometimes I'm just like, it's so rough. The last thing I want to do is generate the woe is me or the victim mentality. So I
yeah,
rather laugh at it because I just rather take the positive route, you know?
totally.
In how
Yeah,
I'm
and that's how you
processing what just
challenge.
happened.
No, totally. Absolutely. I'm the same way, and
Yeah.
it's like that's how you challenge it too in the moment. It's like,
Yeah.
allowing yourself to accept that, yeah, this is a really shitty situation. I really wish I wasn't going through it. But the
Yeah.
truth is, and the reality is I am. What can I do right now to stop this cycle of negativity or to stop
Yes.
myself from going down a really dark path? Like
Exactly.
if you tend to go down a really dark path when you go through hardship, like one of the best ways to heal is through humor, and laughter and like joy and all that. But, of course, not bypassing, not putting a band-aid on it, but challenging yourself. I think
Yes.
that's where the difference
Yes.
lies.
Totally. I
Mhm.
loved one of the things that we talked about and we've even discussed just on a personal level is like, do you enjoy spending time with them? like that basic question of like, do you enjoy, are you having fun? Are
Yeah.
you enjoying your time with them? Like, are they adding joy and fun to your life? Like,
Yes.
that is
Yeah.
key. If you don't even enjoy talking with this person,
Then what are you doing?
yeah,
You know,
probably not
like,
going to be like a life partner, you know, somebody,
no.
somebody that you could kick it with. But also, like, is this person available? And not just like time wise, which, yes, time wise is huge. Like, do they make themselves available? Are they even prioritizing you over maybe a function or something that they could be going out or going to a barbecue, but they're spending time with you instead. But
Yeah.
also emotionally, like, do they have enough emotional space,
Yes.
to be able
Yes. Absolutely.
to converse, talk with you,
Yeah.
relate. That's
Yes,
huge.
exactly. Do they have that depth, that level
They
of
have
depth
depth.
that you need? Everyone needs something different, of course, in terms of depth, but do they have that emotional depth that they can dive into the depth with you and not feel intimidated by it, not feel scared, but feel grounded and be able to hold that container for you as well.
Yeah.
So like all these little things, but Wit, I love that you said, can you have fun with this person and just like enjoy being with them? Like without having to do crazy activities every day, because like I think we think about having fun and we think, oh, just traveling every day and having a crazy, wild, adventurous life. While that's amazing, and certain couples do that because that's how they bond, but sometimes you might be at home doing nothing for a period of time. We go through ebbs and flows of
Yep.
like fun and
Yep.
excitement in our relationship and also boring and stable and quiet time periods. During those boring time periods, can you still enjoy the person?
Yeah.
Do you still have fun with them? Do you still
Yeah.
love being around them?
Yeah. And that's the thing too, because you're going to be spending a whole lot of time together. So,
Exactly.
like, if you
That's
don't
your
like this
person.
person,
That's your
yeah,
person. You chose this person, like, do you like being around them in your presence?
I think a
Absolutely.
lot of times when we fall in love, we let things like that slide,
Oh, yeah, for
you know?
sure.
Like,
For
you can
sure.
fall in love real quick and then realize, like, I actually don't find this person funny. I
Yeah.
actually don't like the fact that they're super pessimistic or negative. And then I also don't like spending time with them because they only want to ever watch TV or they only ever want to play video games or,
Yeah.
like I've even seen like in Christianity, right? It's just kind of like expected that you're going to get married young, get married to some Christian person. And in a lot of cultures, things are arranged. And I had a friend who was like a beautiful friend. She led worship. She had a beautiful voice. She was like an artist, she wasn't just like a worship leader. She was a total artist. And she is in more of like the Persian community. And she
Okay.
ended up getting like it was somebody that was part of the Persian community, and so they're very connected there. So once
Right.
they found out that, oh, she likes him, he likes her, they ended up dating. It's kind of more courtshipy than it is
Right. Right.
dating
Right.
modern day, because of course like they didn't have sex that I know
Right.
of,
More arranged, I
and
guess.
more
Yeah.
arranged, that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing her post, and she posted this either video or whatever, and it's like married life, and it's literally like a week into their married life. And I'm like, dude, if this guy is playing video games during your first week of marriage, right? Like for me, I just looked at that and I was like, you poor thing. I mean, you need a break, your vagina
Right.
needs a break, but like, but I just would think that they would literally be like laying in bed naked the entire time. And maybe that's just like an idea that I have, but I just was
Or
like,
just talking,
or
connecting,
just talking and connecting.
getting to know each other.
Yes, because that's intimacy. But it was, she actually commented, like her post was that he's always like it's like a 24/7 thing. Like she can't get him off of it,
Like an
like,
addiction. Yeah.
yeah, like he's always playing video games,
Wow.
um and like, this is my new life, like welcome to life with this guy, because they didn't live together prior, like none of that. So she's learning his habits that she maybe was sort of ish aware of, but she didn't maybe realize how much. And I just
Totally.
felt so bad because I was like, dude, like you probably didn't even know that or have a chance to know what that
Right.
was
Right.
like. And here you are in your first week of marriage, and it's like, hi, I'm over here, you
Yeah,
know?
it's kind of like a slap to the face too of like, oh,
Yeah.
like what did I commit to?
Yeah. Just not very compatible in that sense. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's love there, But it's just like at the same time, it's like, we don't, I don't want to sit inside on the couch watching you play video games the whole time,
Totally.
or playing with you. I want to
Totally.
be out. Like for me, I'm like, I want to get outside. Like I
Oh
want to get
yeah.
outside. I want to enjoy life.
You
I
want
want
to
to
be
go
active.
places.
Yeah, you want to
Yeah.
explore, like
Yes.
intellectually also you want to learn new things with that person, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that's important. That's so important. And people tend to, I find that people tend to overlook that,
Hmm.
and like, again, that if that's your forever person, forever is a really long time to be with someone who doesn't, light your soul on fire. Like that's how I see it. It's like, again, there's no perfection. Obviously, we're never going to find the perfect partner, the perfect package, but we could find someone who truly lights our soul up. I do 100% believe that we
Yeah.
can find that person that just meshes really well with us, and that we
Hmm.
can get through the struggles because we mesh on a soul level.
Yeah.
So I totally believe that, and I believe that there's many people that we could find compatible with in that sense. It's not like there's only one person out there for you. There's so many people living on this planet. I know for a fact that we have so many compatible potential partners that can come
Yes.
our way. It's just about how willing are we to put in the work, to
Yes.
like be with this person. How willing are we to let go of our baggage and our trauma that gets in between our connection
Yes.
with this
Yeah.
potential partner? And it could be something so beautiful, but if you have other things that are like, baggage and stuff that's repressed, that's going to come out and blow things up,
Hmm.
like,
It's
and
gonna be
then
hard
we're
to
not,
work through.
yeah, totally, and we're not going to see it until later on,
Hmm.
and then as we start working through it, we're like, oh, wait a second, this person isn't really the person I thought, or this person's amazing and I'm so glad that I chose to be
Hmm.
with them.
Hmm.
So it's I mean, I love that you mentioned all of that. I feel like, yeah, it's super overlooked, and we
Hmm.
get so caught up with like the beginning, the novelty, the honeymoon phase, the
It's
butterfly.
exciting.
It is exciting. I get it.
Yeah.
That's like
It's
your
exciting
sexual
when you
energy
connect.
gets riled up. So you start you start to feel excited for the potential. You start to
Yeah.
fantasize naturally. We all do that.
Yeah.
I believe we all do that. It's super hard to not do that when you're falling for someone, or even
Yeah.
when you have a slight crush on someone.
Yeah.
Even that, you don't even have to be totally completely in love and obsessed with the person, but you could just have a slight crush and start to, fantasize and think about a potential future with that person and like project that onto the future and stuff like that. So it happens, and there's no shame there. There's nothing wrong with that. We're human. We want emotional connection. That's what we desire the most, is to have that person that we can connect with and be seen and feel safe with. And when we feel any type of rejection, then of course that really hurts, and that hurts on a soul level. But I find that, yeah, it's super overlooked, and I love that you brought up that point.
I think it's just, yeah, it's really critical, like, to really sit down and see, do I like this person? Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, this is the person you're spending the most time with, and you need to know whether or not you actually like them. Another thing that I experienced in my past relationships, was just also like perspectives on the world, perspectives
Mhm.
on like life and people. And I think that was one of the things that I just was like it broke it for me of like, yeah, I can't do this anymore, because
Yeah.
it was this perspective about women and how women should be or should be treated. And I was like, dude, that's a patriarchal, outdated perspective of women, and that
Yeah.
women can't be free to express themselves, women
Right.
can't be free to um even just be who they are and live their life. It's like, no, she has to do this, she has to do that. Whether it's like she should stay at home with the kids. Well, why her? There's
Right.
mannies, or like, stay at home dads. Like, I mean, there's not just women care for children anymore.
Right. And
Um
that's not for everyone. That's not for
that's
every woman, not that's
no.
not every woman's path.
Yeah.
So it's very specific. It depends on who you are. If that's something that floats your boat, then do it. And if it's not, then don't do it.
Yeah.
you know, Listen to yourself.
Yeah. But also just perspectives on the world, like how you see the government, how you see the world
Oh
now. I mean,
man.
we can get into this. It's it's a big
You see
deal
my face, I'm
because
like, wit, you pressed the wrong button.
or the right button.
That's
The right one. But it's
Red
like
code.
if someone totally believes that the government is all for them
Yeah.
and wants them to enjoy their life and live their life a healthy, long life, that ain't gonna work for me.
It ain't go-
It ain't gonna work
It's
for me.
true. It's
If you're all
true.
about popping Advil every time you have a headache, it ain't gonna work for me.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
No.
saying. Exactly. And like, even when it comes down to children, right? And like
Yeah.
putting kids in school and stuff like that, now that we're seeing what we're seeing with like children and, the education system, that obviously is breaking down, and it's,
Yep.
what they teach the kids in school is not okay, and it's not good. It's obviously all agenda. Knowing what you know about that and being with
Yeah.
someone who doesn't believe in that or just wants to put the kids in school, that's huge. That's a very big shift in perspective and also in value. Like,
Yes.
this person wants to do that, but I don't want to do that. Like, how do you can't, like, you
Yeah.
can't come to that compromise, especially if you know for a fact and you're strong in your choices and decisions, which I know we both are about what we want. We're very much like, I know, and this is it. You know what I mean? Like, and we're strong with that. And I think that's so important. And it's so important to set those boundaries, because then how will you know if that person's meant for you or not, you know?
Right. And like, and I guess what I'm also saying or trying to communicate at the same time is that you don't have to agree like on everything. Like you can totally have differences of opinion,
Totally.
but I think it's like fundamental core beliefs and core values are huge, whether because that's going to affect and impact how you live your life together.
100%.
And so if someone's following all these mandates and regulations, but you are completely anti, and you're like, "No, I'm a fucking American citizen. Like I should
I'm
have the right to
sovereign.
decide what medical devices I use or
Right.
what I put in and inject into my body and
Totally.
eat and
Right.
consume, even that.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I should have
It goes
full
for all
veto
things.
power. Yeah,
It
all
goes for all
things.
things.
Like
It goes for abortion. It goes for, the
yeah,
vax. It goes for everything. It
everything.
goes
I'm
for,
a sovereign being.
yeah.
Like
You
I'm a
choose what you
sovereign
want.
divine being and I should have the right to choose. You can
Absolutely.
offer it, you can make it available and thank you for that, but like I have the right. I have the full
Totally.
right to choose what I want to choose. And so I think just it's just the fact of taking rights away or forcing something. And so if someone is, if your other partner is completely opposite to you in that's going to be a huge conflict, and especially if then you're having children together, it's like woo, and then to talk about a
Yeah.
knockout drag out fight of like we're vaxing the kids, we're not vaxing the kids, the kids are going to public school, the kids are not going to public school, it's like
Totally.
that's huge, that's going to be a
Totally.
huge rift.
Yeah, lifestyle too. Like, if one
Yeah,
partner is in the 9 to 5 type of lifestyle and you're more of like the free bird, the one that has their own business and stuff, that also eventually you will clash. You might think at first that, yeah, it'll work. Yeah, it works when you're dating because you're not living together and you're not doing anything, you're not
yeah,
raising children together. When you move in and when you actually start putting your assets together and putting everything together and you want to have kids, that becomes an issue, because one person has a very different lifestyle from the other one, and
yes,
like you're both going to be pulling at each other's life and purpose and mission, and it's unfair to both parties. Both parties like need to do what they got to do, but you also can't compromise your life for someone, and you can't expect someone to compromise their life for you either.
right.
So that's huge. Lifestyle is big. That's another big one.
Lifestyle is really big, especially in the health and wellness and what you put in your body, how you treat your body. Just even like for me, growing up, this is nothing on my parents. It's just they also weren't taught this, of
Right.
like, let's on the weekends, let's go out, let's do things. Let's go to the
Mm.
park, let's go for a walk, let's go for a family bike ride. We never did that.
Activities, yeah, outdoor
We never did
activities.
a family walk. We never went to the park and tossed a football around and
Yeah,
picnicked
yeah.
or, like we never went to the beach as a family. I only ever did things or activities with my youth group. And
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
so for me it's like I mean and my father had physical issues, like there's reasons why.
Right, right,
But like but even just when everyone was well, we didn't really do things
right,
activities, we weren't an active family. Like
right,
Aaron and I would play in the pool like all day long. Like we would remain active
right.
ourselves together, but like But yeah, I just think for me, it's like really important to wake up. And the first thing that I like to do is I like to go for a walk. I mean, I have Winston, and so that's motivation. But even if I didn't have him, I would want to go and like get outside and get some fresh air, get some sun on my face, smell the
Right.
flowers, smell the trees. Like I
I'm the
would
same
want to
way.
get outside. Yeah. And in on the weekend too, like I want to be outside as much as possible. I want to be in water. I want to be hanging out. I want to be connecting with people. And some people are complete opposite to that. When they wake up,
Right.
they want to stay holed up inside. They want to stay in bed for like another hour. They do not want to get up and go for a walk, you know?
Right. Totally. Totally. They want to be in their little cave, you know?
Yeah, they want to cave it up because that's just not how they
Right.
function. That's not how
Totally.
they work. And that's okay. But it's like finding that partner that like what we were saying, like lifestyle that shares a similar lifestyle. So if you have an active lifestyle, you cultivate that together. You kind of do activities together that you both like to do, and try new things. But it's like, but if you have somebody that's like, no, video games, movies, TV, I just want to stay
Yeah. Too much
inside.
sitting. Too much. Yeah.
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 I think
That's hard.
that's going to be really hard because when you want to go for a walk, they're not down. And so it's
Totally.
not that you can't do things on your own, but the whole reason why you're in a partnership is to do things together.
It's intimacy. You know,
It's
it's a
intimate.
big part of intimacy. It's sharing things together. If
Yeah.
you're not sharing things, you're going to drift apart.
Yeah.
You eventually drift apart and you eventually start to feel like a disconnect and like, oh, I'm not feeling for this person the way I used to because we no longer do this, similar
Yep.
things.
Yep.
We're completely in two different directions and they like to do this, but I like doing this. I like adventuring, I like traveling, I like learning,
Yeah.
diving down rabbit holes, stuff like that. And they don't like
Yes.
doing that. They like watching movies and, just being on playing video games and being indoors all day. Like that's a major difference.
It's a
That is a
major
major
difference.
difference. And it
Yeah.
again, it doesn't hit you in the beginning, but it will as you start building. It will as
Mhm.
time goes on.
Yeah, it hit me in my 5-year relationship because, and I had lost a ton of weight, because I was actually going to a bodybuilding gym and had a personal trainer,
Mhm.
um and I was really proud of my body for the first time. Like it was really positive.
Wow.
But as soon as I got into the
Yeah.
relationship, I realized, oh, he's not going to go to the gym with me. Like I
Yeah.
would say like, "Hey, can we go to the gym? Hey, can you come with me to the gym?" Because I was working a 9 to 5, and he was working car dealership stuff. So it was kind of
Got
similar hours, but the last thing the guy wanted to do, he wanted to veg
yeah.
and he wanted to chill. And so over 5 years, I gained everything back, you know?
Wow.
And because I never got to work out, and I didn't, I mean, it's not blaming him. I didn't make it a priority. To me, it was like, no, I need to make the relationship a priority,
Yeah.
right? And this is the only time that we get because it's not like, we live super close. So it was like
You
an
want to make the
hour
most of it.
drive. Yeah. So it was like, dude, I want to make the most of this time. And this is the only time we only get evenings and weekends. And so this is it. So I'm
Okay.
gonna pour myself into that. And I could have like reworked things and made it more of a priority. I think in my head I thought I've achieved fitness. I can coast.
I
But
am
like it
fitness.
yeah, but I am fitness. But I also didn't realize that this wasn't temporary, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I actually
yeah.
moved closer, and then that made it even worse because now he even gets earlier to me, right? And then we hang out and have early dinner, and then we're
Totally.
just chilling the rest of the evening. And I just didn't even realize like what that did, how that builds up. And so if your core values are health and wellness and fitness and living a healthy lifestyle, living well, and enjoy and peace and love, and that's the type of lifestyle that you live on your own, you really need to make sure that your compatibility is samesies, on that. Because if you don't get with someone who's not going to motivate you for health and wellness, and they're actually like, no, let's just do McDonald's tonight. Let's just do
Yeah.
fast food tonight, because I'm getting to you late, and whatever. Like someone that's going to compromise health and wellness, you know, that's not going to work if you are not compromising
You
your health and
prioritize
wellness.
that.
Yeah.
Totally.
If your
totally.
life
Yeah.
is around that, that's going to be a huge deal. And also what you take in and what you watch. If you're
Yeah.
going to waste an hour and a half to 2 hours on some shit movie or some shit TV show and you're just going to blank out,
Yeah,
and
no.
or for me, I'm
Yeah.
like, if it's shit, I turn it off. I switch to something else, like I find something else to watch that is beneficial.
That's yeah, that's also like, what you're consuming. It's important what you consume. It's your mental diet too, you know what I mean?
Yes,
It's like it's
that
not
is part of
just
your wellness.
absolutely, absolutely it's part of it. Like I also do the same. I don't watch TV. I don't, like I'm very careful with what I put my energy into and what I watch for that reason because it's super important. It
Hmm.
adds to it. And it adds to your
Yeah,
character. It adds to who you are, what you bring to the table.
yeah,
And yeah, it's just not, if you're deciding to just watch, like reality TV or movies that aren't, stimulating you on an intellectual level or that you're not really learning much from it, then, you might want to reevaluate,
yeah,
because that's
yep,
a big part too. It's a super
yep.
big part.
It's huge. It's huge. At least for me, that was major in my reflections. I'm like, never again am I going to compromise that. It's
No.
not his fault. This is his lifestyle that he wants to live, but it just is not compatible with mine. And sometimes it's like you literally make it a priority. Sometimes we're in relationships, like for those who are listening who are already married and you're already in a relationship and you're like, damn, like, I am compromising on what I want. Well, you can just let them know and communicate it, right? And say, I want to reprioritize some things because health and wellness or whatever it is, mental diet is really important to me. And I feel like, I'm not being authentic to who I am and what I value and what I want. And
Mhm.
so honestly, I'm not going to, if you want to do that, that's fine. You can do that. Obviously, that's your choice, but I'm not going to participate in that. Or I'm going to go to the gym instead of watching the movie, or whatever. It's like, I'm going to the gym. If you want to come with me and we can work out together and we can get all hot and sweaty together in another way, then cool, let's do that. Maybe come back later and do something else.
And
But
we'll do
like,
it in a different
hello,
way.
hello. But yeah, so it's like, we can do that, or we can sit on the couch and eat a pizza and French fries, and you know,
Yeah.
not something that I would ever do again. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Totally.
so it's like
Totally.
it's really important. What are some other things, Yaz, that you get in your clients' experiences or some of their hangups on compatibility? What are some things that come up as
Hmm.
well? Anything else?
Let me think about it. I think a lot of it has been the lifestyle stuff. That's been a big one. The sex drive has also been a big one that I've like come across a lot. Because in the beginning of a relationship, like I mentioned before, we tend to be
Yeah.
excited, and then
Yeah.
down the line, it just we get back to our baseline, of like what
Yes.
that we actually are, of course, because we also put up a facade with our sex drive in the beginning. And it's natural. It's just we're excited, we're all over the place. And then eventually that's where it like, kind of grounds itself and we start to realize like, oh, I'm not actually that sexually active. It's not that I don't desire the person, I just am not really into it. Some people are not very sexual, so I find that to be one of the biggest problems also.
Yeah.
And I noticed that has a lot to do with like attachment styles too, like in my
Yes.
studies. Like I've learned throughout the years with like clients that people who tend to be more anxious in relationship um tend to have or want to have a lot of sex in the beginning and their sex drive is super super high, and then eventually it just kind of like dies out. And
Interesting.
not because they don't desire the person, like I said before, but because they kind of went all the way extra to try to please that person in the very beginning so they can kind of like get them
And like connect.
and connect. It's a connection thing, exactly. It's a because you get anxious, and you're like, oh, I want to connect so badly, and I want intimacy with this person. I want to merge so badly with this person that you like, go all the way. And then once you feel comfortable and safe, and you feel like you've connected, like, the sex drive kind of goes out the window, or you don't have it as much anymore. So I find that to be something interesting that I notice to my clients when they're a little bit more on
That's
the anxious
interesting.
side. Yeah, they tend to do that. um yeah, and like I'm thinking about anything else that has come up. I think those have been like the major ones. I mean, a lot of my clients are breaking up due to values being different with like, the vax and stuff like that. That's been a big one that I've
Mhm.
noticed. One person's like anti, the other one's pro, so two very big clashes. And I'm seeing that a lot playing out. A lot of people are on
Yeah.
different pages now. Um,
I
yeah,
mean,
like
let's just
are
be
the main
real.
thing.
It's hard because in
It
5
is,
to 10 years, people are going to be like, I can't have sex with you if you're vaxxed. I cannot
yeah,
procreate. I don't want to get inadvertently vaxxed with your sperm. Like, it is
right.
hard. It's like, not only now do you ask for STD and herpes
Now you got to
testing,
know if
now
someone's
it's like, can I see your immunization? Immunize. I can't say this word.
immuniz.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one. Yeah.
Immunization card. But it's like, then also, how do you know that they're being honest? I mean, you really got to like trust, but it's just, oh, it's so hard now. Like, there's
It's
so
another
many
layer.
things.
It
And
adds
the
another
truth,
layer.
I mean, the truth about it hasn't even really come out. There's a lot of research and a lot of data, but it
Yeah.
hasn't even come out on like how this impacts people's fertility. And it's like, dude, and I'm over here and I'm 35. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to find my person now because it's like, dude, it's so hard on Hinge. Like
Yeah.
that's like one of that's my profile like bio is like I'm not vaxxed. I'm looking for someone who isn't vaxxed.
I'm
Like,
back. Right. Right.
and I'm sorry, like it's nothing personal. I'm not saying someone's less than someone else because they did. I just honestly have to draw the line because I want the possibility of being able to have a
Yes.
kid. And then I
Yes.
also don't want to die from the side effects, you know?
Totally, babe. Yeah. We don't know the effects.
I know.
Weird city sounds. Oh man. Gotta
It
love it.
happens every episode. I'm just like, New York.
New York. Literally, I said
Yeah.
it on my podcast too. I'm like, guys, just don't say anything. Just let it go. Let it pass.
Yeah.
But no, babe, you're so right. You're so right. That's been another layer that I'm noticing people now. It's like, oh, well, this person, like, I don't feel safe. I don't want to have sex with them. I don't want to be intimate with them. And I get it. Again, it's not that anyone's right or wrong. It's just personal preferences, man. Like
Just
people
personal
choose to do it,
preference.
so be it. But
I just don't
this,
want to chance it. For me, I'm
yeah,
just like, I just don't want to chance this. This is an experimental drug. It's
yeah,
a genetic modifying, all that drug. Um,
absolutely,
I it,
absolutely.
I'm just
No,
not willing to be a test tube.
and it's
Um,
self-love, self-care for yourself. It's like it's boundary setting. It's a lot of these
And
things
some
that,
people get vaxxed or have gotten vaxxed because they thought it was self-love. Like that's what's really hard about it. It's like people who got vaccinated thought that they were being loving, not even for themselves, but for other people. And that
yeah,
was
they did
kind
it
of
with
what
good
caught
intention,
people
of
is that
course.
they're good people trying to do good by society. And so if you didn't, you're frowned upon because you're like, you must not be very loving of a person, or very compassionate. And that's what's been hard for those who have not chosen not to get vaccinated or to refuse to mask because it actually puts you in a really severe health risk,
100%.
by lowering your oxygen levels to almost what they would hospitalize you for. And just by
Right.
wearing your mask you get down to those levels. And so it's like it's just really hard. But in
Yeah.
dating, it's like now we have so much on the table of like screening and
Dating pool is tiny.
verifying and vetting, and
Yeah, dating pool
it's
is so tiny. And I always tell my clients, and I even remind myself of this, it's like you need to go slow when you
yeah.
meet someone. You really need to go slowly because again, like we can get super excited, we could start fantasizing, but if we're not careful, if we're not slow, then we might jump into something that really isn't for us.
Right.
And this just might be an opportunity for you to learn about yourself through this person. That might not be your person. And that's okay. But the fact that you get to see yourself and your own wounds through someone else, I think that's the most beautiful thing, ever. Because even if that's not the right person for you, you could still find your person later on. And you could still bring that medicine that you learn with that person that you dated and bring it to the next that might be the one that's meant for you. So I think, we've all been there. We've all done it. Again, there's no shame that, if you had sex quickly or you moved into something quickly, at least I know for me in the past, with my exes and stuff, like it was fast, like
Mhm.
it's sex quickly, dating quickly. Everything was very fast. Everything was within a month, and
Yep.
like it was too fast. It was too fast. And I didn't get the chance to see, are we actually compatible? Do we really have the same values? Or am I just like, do I just feel like they fill up this void in me that I'm not looking at, or I'm like, ignoring? Or are they just like distracting me from things that I need to heal from? You know what I mean? And it's like most of the time that's the case, is we run into love or we run into someone else because we feel afraid of sitting with our own stuff. We feel
Yeah.
scared of facing our own demons. We feel afraid of time passing by and not finding our person. Like it is scary. I get it. It's a scary feeling. That's why being single is really difficult. That's why breaking up is really hard. That's why
Yep.
all these things are hard, because you have to face your biggest
Yeah.
demons. You
Yeah.
have to face your biggest fears.
Yep. So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So, also with libido, I think that's really interesting because I know that if someone has a stronger libido,
Yeah.
that other part than their partner, that other partner may feel more used
Mm.
is usually the issue, right? They
Yeah.
feel like they're just a body,
Yeah.
um, and not a person.
Right.
And I think that's also your view on sex too, like what is the purpose of sex or intention of having sex?
Totally.
Um, because I do think we are, culturally in a place where it's like the majority of the time it is to just get, not to give, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
but in a long-term relationship, it can get annoying, like butt grabs, boob grabs. Like if you're not into that kind of thing, that can feel
Oh
really
yeah.
kind of offensive.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it comes down to like your love language too. Like, do
Yes.
you
I
like
was gonna
physical
say,
touch?
isn't it communication as well?
Yeah.
Like your
Yeah.
love languages or how you view sex or, how you view physical affection. Some people are really against physical affection,
Yeah.
physical
Totally.
touch. It like puts
Yeah.
them on edge. It doesn't actually
Yeah, yeah,
make
for sure.
them.
I have a client that she had a client. She's no longer my client, but it was last year. She was in a long-term relationship and she said that she couldn't stand, touching her partner. Like
It's
she's like, I love
crazy.
him, but I just can't. It's just icky. Like I don't like PDA indoors or outdoors at all.
I'm like, I'm in shock because I'm literally the opposite. I'm like, grab me everywhere. Just don't strip me down in public, but like, you can do whatever you
Totally.
want.
I'm super affectionate too. I'm
Yeah,
super, super affectionate. I
that's
love
crazy.
hugs and like, kisses and everything. You know what I mean? I
Just the
love,
fact that she like thinks it's gross or thought it
yes.
was
She's
gross.
like,
Who knows
yeah,
if she
she's
still
like,
thinks that way.
I just can't do it. You know what I mean? So like, obviously we explored and we were like, oh, could there be like sexual trauma or something underneath?
Yeah.
And she said it didn't come from her, but her great grandma was sexually abused. So it was ancestral. So
Oh,
it's
got
interesting.
it.
We did like, internal family systems and we did some work around that. And it really came from her great grandma. It actually didn't even come from
Wow.
her. It was her mother's lineage that like she felt like this
Wow.
sense of like, don't touch me. I don't like that. She was carrying that fear, which is interesting. It might not even be yours. It might be, someone else down the line of your family. Usually it
That's
is.
huge to look at.
Yeah, that's really big. That's a really big, like, oh, wow, interesting. Like,
Because it's
that's the
not
problem.
typically like in with physical with the love languages, whether it's physical quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service or gifts.
Yeah.
It's not that you are just one or two. You're
No,
all of them.
all of them.
Like you're
Yeah.
all of them. It's just that you have main ones.
Right.
Then so it's like for someone to not want physical touch,
Preferences.
that's
Yeah.
like
Right. At
maybe
all.
that's
Yeah.
something to look at. Yeah.
Totally.
Because
Totally. Yeah.
everybody should, whether it's, I mean, it may not be with like everyone, you're like open for everyone to touch you, but like, especially with your partner or someone,
Wow.
family, friends, maybe even,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, you should,
Yeah. Intimate people that you're intimate with.
yeah, should
That's
want,
I find that to be super important. It's that skin to skin contact is
yeah,
huge, and like
yeah.
hugging someone for an amount of time, like that's super healing to the body, to the system, to the energy field, like
Hmm.
it's so important, and I think, speaking of love languages, I think people when they find someone who speaks like the same language as them, it's heaven, you know what I mean? Because you don't
Hmm.
have to much effort into like getting to know the other person's love language, or remembering, oh yeah, right, they love when I cook for them, or they feel loved when I take out the trash for them or do acts of service, or they feel loved when I send them a cute text every day telling them that I love them and they're amazing and I think they're incredible and the most beautiful person I've ever seen. Like it really, you need to attune yourself to that, and see what your
Yes.
partner really likes when you don't speak the same languages, because
Yes.
that's another big thing that can flip flop the relationship if both
Yes.
parties are. That can change though. You can really like work on that, but both parties have to be willing to.
Yeah. Yeah. I know some people get annoyed. Like I've seen people that get annoyed with like the words of affirmation. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that's not that person's fault that
Yeah.
you don't like it. And I think actually you need to look at that. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
why wouldn't you want someone to compliment who you are? Now if you feel like it's shallow,
Or fake.
then
Yeah.
yeah, or fake. But I watched Married at First Sight. That's like one of my favorite all-time favorite shows.
I've watched it.
God, I think it was season
Which season?
9.
With
Season
Jamie
9.
and Elizabeth?
God, you're so good with names. I don't even remember. But it was the African American. I think there was a couple African American couples, but it was an African American couple and he was complimenting her all the time.
Greg?
Like maybe. No
I'm
idea.
like I'm like throwing out names and you literally
You
just told
I
me. I
literally don't know. It like left me months ago when I stopped watching the show. I literally don't, if I don't care about the information, I literally don't remember. I'm like they were cute. That's as much, and they lasted. They lasted the test of time. They stayed married. But like she had
I
a
think it's the same season I watched. Yeah.
yeah, it's season 9. I know it's season 9. That's all I
It was
know.
a
But
fire season. It was fire.
dude, they had such an issue because she saw it as him just being like a playa. And she was like, what is this guy doing? Just throwing
She
out
was super
compliments? Like,
avoidant. Yeah.
yeah, she was having a hard time for obvious reasons. It's kind of a crazy concept of just marrying a stranger. But she was like, you got to earn this. Like you're giving compliments that are surfacey because you don't know me. And so I think it was partly that too. So it's like understand what's annoying you. It's not the compliment that's annoying you. There's something about the energy or something that's lacking or missing in it. See what that is. Is that something that you need to heal or is that something that you need to communicate? Like, hey, when
Yeah.
you say like you think I'm beautiful, if you just say that and only that, like I want to know what about me do you find
Yeah.
beautiful? Like I want it to be tangible. I want to understand what about who I am or what I look like do you like most because that gives me a reference point because then I can also build off of that like oh he's a butt guy, oh he's a boob guy, oh he likes my hair, or he likes
Eyes.
the
Yeah.
way that I like love people or that I'm so open and honest and
He likes my
emotionally
power.
available.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that I'm feminine. He even just like, gosh, you're so beautiful. I love the fact that you're just so feminine. You're so in your flow all the time. You go with the flow. And I just love that about you. For me, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, thank you, because it personalized it,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
It's not like what it is necessarily. It's just the fact that you're personalizing it and it tells me that you're acknowledging who and what I
Ooh.
am.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Compliments are
that's
an
what
art
gets me.
form. Yeah,
Yes.
compliments are an art form. I always like say that too, because I love that you said that way, you brought that up, because compliments could be so general, you know what I mean? Like you said, telling someone, oh, you're so beautiful. But it's
Yeah.
how you say it and exactly what you're pinpointing to the person. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like what
Yeah.
about it? It's like your power, fascinates me. That's a beautiful compliment because it's like it's something very specific about you. It's
Yeah.
like your power, the way you show up. I
Yes.
love like how strong you are when you say something, when you make a decision, things like that. Like those compliments like really hit deep because it's your character. It's who you are as a person. It goes so
Yes.
much deeper. And even if it is a physical compliment about your beauty, like you said, like
Yeah.
is it specific? Like, oh, I love when you straighten your hair, or I
Yeah.
love when you put on eyeliner, cat liner, on your eyes, or when you make your eyes look beautiful, like stuff like that, like that really gets to the core of the
Mhm.
person
Mhm.
and the effort that they're putting in to looking good and feeling good, like that's what you're
Yeah.
complimenting. It's the effort.
Yes. Yeah, when we hopped on, like you were like, "Oh, babe, your eyes, look at you." Like,
It was the
"Oh,
first
your
thing I noticed.
hair."
Yeah, it was the
I was
first thing
like,
I noticed.
"What did I say?" I was like, "I did this for you."
Yeah, I love you. It's the effort that you put in to look beautiful for
I want to
me,
look good for my boo boo.
right, David? And that's why I have like my purple liner.
I love it. I wish I could see it. I wish there was more light so I could see your purple liner.
I
So
know it's a
pretty.
little bit dark, but like, yeah, when I come see you, I'll wear
Yeah,
the liner.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, girl, bring it.
But
But yeah,
absolutely, but
like
yeah,
that matters. And so what was my response? I was open to that, right? And I received it, and then I also let you know this was my intention. It wasn't really
yeah,
even for the viewers, although hey, but
yeah,
it's more for you. Like I was like, I
yeah.
want to get cute. Ooh, we're gonna talk like sexy compatibility vibes. Like I'm gonna do more
Nice.
of a like a darker eye,
I
and like
love
more
it.
neutral lip. Like I literally thought about what my makeup and my hair was
And it
gonna
was
be like.
perfect because that was my thought too. You know, that's why like that selfie that you just saw was like the eyes. You know what I mean? Literally, we are like same wavelength.
Yes. But like that's even in friendship, it's so important to mention that and to compliment each other. And even when we were in Austin, like you came out of the airport and we were like, legs for days, model. You're like, hello. And I'm sitting here like, hi, Yas. Like I get to hug you from up above. Standing at 5'3" over here. You're like,
You
what,
guys are
5'10"?
you guys are so cute. Literally, you guys look at me, you're like, oh, hello. And I was like, you guys stop that. Like, oh my God.
You're like, stop. But we also like screamed at decibels that I think like maybe even the popo were like, what's happening? Because we we were so excited.
Everyone looked. Everyone looked. Like I did not even everything was a blur. Everything was a blur.
I
I
literally
just
can't remember anything else.
I just saw you guys and I was like, my life is complete.
Hmm.
It
Pretty much.
was the greatest thing. But that's exactly it. It's like there's nothing that hits the heart as much as, you know, loving, beautiful compliments and true love from friends and your loved ones, you know, romantic
Hmm.
partners, friends, whatever, whoever is in your life. I
Hmm.
think that's just so that's what brings so much love, passion, and spice to people. You
Yeah.
know, it's those compliments. It's like thinking of ways that you could brighten this person's life up in a
Yeah.
way that's genuine when you really mean it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, it has to be when you feel it, when you mean it. But
Yeah.
like,
It's acknowledging them, right?
yeah, yeah, it's acknowledging them, their looks, their power, their character, their humor, their personality, you know, like
Yes.
letting them know like you're just so badass and I love you and I love what you stand for. You know,
Yes.
I think that there's
Yeah.
no better feeling than that.
Yeah.
Um
That was
and
like the
I felt that
entire
with you
weekend
guys.
was
Yeah,
telling each other how badass goddesses and how divine and just how beautiful inside and out. Like it was just a weekend full of just like literally feeding each other's hearts and souls on not just compliments, but just enjoying each other's time. And when you have that compatibility, you feel that. You feel that not only is your presence welcome, but it is being like soaked up, drank in, like, it's you really do feel that sharing happening, and there's just nothing better than that. And that's what we deserve in partnership, friendship, family, you know.
yeah, yeah. It's that safety, you know, it's that feeling of safety. Like I can be my total and complete self with these people
Yeah.
and they're gonna love me for it, you know, like
Yep.
that's what we all want. We all want to be seen for who we are. You know, we
Yes.
all want to be accepted for who we are, you know, our character, our body, our everything, you know, our personality, our humor, our power. Like we all want to be seen for that. And we're all special in our own individual way, you know.
Mhm.
So having someone in our life really see that and like truly on a soul level acknowledge it and point it out to us, that means a lot. That
Yeah.
means a lot.
Yeah. So to wrap up, I think it would be good to have like some, I'm like, me, I'm like tangible,
I know, so am I.
all over here. Like, how do we apply this to our
Practical.
lives? Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
how do we start?
and so
With the
what are
practical.
some questions that we can ask partners or even friends, but maybe we can stick with partners, that we can ask potential partners so that we can understand whether or not they're compatible, whether it's communication style, values, morals, libido. Like, what are
Right.
some questions, Yaz, that you mentioned to your clients that they should probably ask
Yeah.
themselves, ask that person?
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think one of my favorite questions that, you know, I tell my clients and something that I ask myself too on a daily basis is what turns you on? You know what I mean? What in life really turns you on? And it doesn't have to be sexual, obviously, but it
That's
can
really
be.
good.
But in your partnership, in your friendships, in your day to day, what truly turns you on? Is it adventure? Is it going for a run? Is it working out? Is it, like, I don't know, going on a helicopter ride? Like literally what turns you on? You know what I mean? Like what sparks your soul? What brings that fire to your soul? And how can you share that with others? You know what I mean? Like that's one of my biggest reflections. And I love that because that gets to the core of who we are as humans and what we really truly desire. And
Yeah.
from there you could really find a lot of other things. You could really kind of like dive deeper into like other rabbit holes of, well, I like doing this, which means this is one of my core values, or this is something that I want in a partner, or this is something that like turns me on about myself but also turns me on about said partner or friend or whatever.
Yes.
So I think that's one that like is really really good. Like what stimulates your sexual energy, like
Mm.
what brings you that level of joy that you truly truly desire to have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah, babe. And also I'm thinking another one that I really like is in partnership, in romantic partnership, like just sitting with your partner with, or with a potential date, and asking them like, what do you see for your future? What if you were to think about three visions or three things that you could see for yourself in the future, what would they be?
That's
And then
really good.
from there you could really see, and you could really start planning in the present moment, like, okay, well, if they see that for the future, then that means that we could do this and this to get to that point. So kind of be visionary about it, and think long term in that sense of like, what are some things that light you up when you think about it, and you think about your future, what does that look like to you?
Super good.
Yeah,
Super good.
yeah, babe.
Ooh, I love it. Where can people find you who want to work with you and to book like a session with you? I think you do packages as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do, babe. But right now I've been doing one-on-ones, just because I have so many other things going on. So currently I'm doing one-on-ones. But if anyone, I'm open to doing packages. If anyone really needs something, I can curate it specifically for whatever it is that you're looking for. We could chat and talk about it and get down to what it is that you need out of the coaching and the session. But you guys could find me on yasminelzomor.com, and on my Instagram at Yasmin Elzomor, where I post memes and daily inspiration for those of you that need it. And don't be afraid to reach out, DM me if you have any questions. I don't bite. Just come and chat, and let's talk and have a nice conversation. And yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Love it. Yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you so much, Yas, for sharing your wisdom, for celebrating 2 years of friendship with me in this
Oh,
episode.
is
I
the
love it.
best. Is the best, my love. I'm so grateful for you. And like we all are at the Soulish community. We're all so grateful for you and how you
Oh,
show
thank
up
you.
and your power and just how majestic you are. You really like hold yourself with so much integrity and light. And I love that about you.
Oh, I love that about you too.
You're so cute.
To be honest, like
Bye.
I think you're just such a badass woman, and from the beginning I just was like, God, this is somebody who's infectious.
Oh, you're
Like your
so cute.
joy, your love, your also zest for life and passion for life, and also like what is right. Like you're such a value-based person. Not
Love you.
everybody has integrity, and you're one of the rare people that has like unending integrity. Like you really live according to your heart. And I
I
love
love
that
that.
about you.
I'm gonna start crying. 2 seconds.
Oh.
Seconds. Thank you, my love. You're so cute. This friendship is everything.
Well, you
Everything I've
got
ever
me all teary-eyed, so I gotta get you back.
in all our episodes.
Yes,
We're like,
we
wait a second.
yeah, yeah. I need a fan.
Need a
But
box of
yes, babe,
tissue.
this friendship's been everything, and it's so fun to have a chat about what is compatibility, how to vet compatibility and friendship, partnership, and all of that. And to hear your expertise is really great. And so, for anyone that is looking to work with someone that could help hold space, facilitate, Yasmin is amazing. Not only is she an amazing friend of mine, but she also has held space for me in several different sessions in working through different things. And it's even a relationship with yourself. Like, it doesn't have to be with someone else or a friend, it could even be your relationship to yourself. She's
Absolutely.
amazing. So, definitely hit her up. Yasmin Elzomor,
Thank
you're
you, my love.
amazing.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, babe. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to do it again soon.
Same. Love you, babe.
Bye, my love.
Woo!